All right, Sandra. So we're going to talk today a little bit about your new course that you have coming up, and I'm really excited about the resource that you have as part of that course, which I can't believe that you're not, that you're able to give that as part of the course value. It's going to be amazing, and so I can't wait to jump into that. But first, tell me about the course, and then we'll get into the to that extra resource.
Okay. The course is called Let's Talk Money, and it's designed to give business owners a basic understanding about where money comes from and where it goes. And so that they can talk the language of money as it's translated by GAAP, the
Right.
general accepted accounting principles. That way, I think it was during the training that we did when we talked about how Ricky and Lucy had that
Yeah.
language problem in the book when he was reading a book and he had the issues with bow and it was any words that ended in OUGH.
Right.
Money does the same. If you stop and think about it, when it comes in, it looks like $100 bill, but then it gets translated over into maybe an expense. It may be translated into income. It may be translated into a liability. So it's basically designed to help them, number one, understand what is the break-even point. That's all I'm going to focus on is what is the break-even point for their business.
Yeah, and let's talk about that a little bit because that's what excited me most about, having the opportunity to learn about the resource that you have and what your course is doing. So why is it, first of all, what is the break-even point for those who might not know, and why is it important and vital to their business?
Number one, what it is when the expenses and the income, or not the income, the revenue equals zero. Because one of the first things they teach is that income does not equal revenue. Revenue is money generated through the sales or services of your business.
Right.
Income, it can be dividends.
Right.
It could come in a different format, but what is it that you're earning? So that's the revenue. So when revenue and expenses meet zero, that's when you got your break-even point.
Exactly.
And so it's showing off in dollars, units, and units, dollars, and the point.
Right. Yeah, and so it's important for every business owner to know what their break-even point is, because if you don't know, you can have, like you just said, you can see $100 and think, oh, I just made $100, but you didn't make $100. Yes, you earned $100, but you didn't make $100. So it's important to understand the difference, like you said, between revenue and income. And what I love about the worksheet, which let's go ahead and get into that now if you want, but I think, show that on the screen so we can kind of go through it. But what I love about it is that it enables the very simply for any business owner, whether or not you have an accounting background, like it's super simple and clear to see what is income versus what is revenue. And then I think one of the biggest things, I mean, like I told you, I'm number one in line to get this. I want it. This one of the things I love about it is it makes figuring out, reverse engineering your income so easily. So you can start with, this is what I need in order to get this amount of income.
That's the revenue. Remember the revenue, so you can have
Right.
that point. We've got to.
Right.
I know
Such
it's so
revenue
easy for us to say income, but we gotta start saying it's the revenue for the business or sales.
Right.
It's there's number one. When they're in my class, we're going to do it manually first, to identify the formulas and how the numbers are collected. And the reason is, and it's going to be real simple. The reason is that I want them to understand where the numbers are coming from, because the program here now that I've written makes it real easy.
Yeah, it does.
It makes it so easy. Yeah. And the reason why, okay, number one, also they'll get smarter when they see this graph. The section where they get introduced to this is called a break-even point analysis, and it's done usually in a graph. Now, when you look at financials, you'll usually see a graph where there's lines going this way, and then there's a diagonal. Well, in the class, you're going to learn what all of those lines mean. But here, let me give you a short how we
Yeah,
fix
let's
this
do a
out.
quick tutorial of how to do it without getting
Okay.
too much in the weeds.
Number one, I had it so that you could have the name of the company and your project and the date. So that way, because you can print this and put this in your business plan. Now, the other thing is numbers can be large. They can go up to hundreds, thousands, or millions, and you can shorten the number. But right now, we're just going to do hundreds. Okay, so let's say the fixed cost. And this is not the course, so I'm not going to give away what it is, but we're going to go ahead with the fixed cost, okay? And the fixed cost is the number that we really want to meet every month. And we have the variable cost, again, that this is going to be by per unit. And then I'll give an explanation in the course what a variable cost is. Right. But let's put that at, let's put it at $8, okay? And the revenue, see the revenue? That is what are you selling it for, okay? Because I already told you that. And let's say we're selling it for $79, okay? Now, it's going to tell you over here, if you sell how many units, the profit will be $7,000. It's right there. But the units I need to sell right up here is 98.6.
Yeah. So your break-even point is you have to sell 98.6 units in order to break even. And then what I love is how right underneath that, it tells you to get a profit, you would need to sell. Yeah.
Right. So if you want a desired profit, let's say you want a desired profit of another $1,000.
Yeah, this is the part that I really love, because now you can decide in a micro way, a granular level, decide what your goal is each month for sales.
That's right. Is that not cool? But here's the picture is worth a picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now here's the sales. The sales is the red unit. So here's your sales. See how it goes up? Because number one, your revenue is over here on the left, graph. Mm-hmm. See that? And it's done in increments of 5,000. The units are done in 50, so you have to sell, you get 50, 100, 150. See how that works? Mm-hmm. Now we've got the total cost. So here's the total cost, and it goes up as you grow. Now the revenue, look at how the revenue, of course you started out with 0, and it goes up. And now you can see, whoa, I could really make a good profit, because the difference between this point and this point is your profit.
Right.
And then your fixed cost, which is right here, this turquoise. You see that?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then your variable cost. There you go.
And now profit, do you use that interchangeably with income? Is that how you look at that, or?
No, profit is that of money that's after all of your expenses. Now there's another definition, before taxes or after taxes.
Right.
This is profit before taxes.
Right.
Now in my class, you can also put in there, because a lot of entrepreneurs wait till after they don't include their wages in their expenses. In my class, I want them to make certain that their wages are included. That way they truly have a picture of what their financial goal is.
Yeah, I absolutely love this. So let's move on to the cost worksheet, because that is an awesome sheet that I was like, when I just saw the first one, I thought, wow, that is so much value. And then I saw the second page, and then the third page, I was blown away. So let's get into this cost worksheet, because this is really by itself. Truthfully, each of the sheets is such a tool. So let's talk about this tool and how it can benefit the business owner.
Okay, for the business owner, let's say he's starting a new project and he wants to know how many he has to sell. And this sheet was designed for my class so that I'm working with my students and we can make certain that they identify all of their fixed cost. And so in the cells here, they'll have their fixed cost that they can go back, oh yeah, that's associated with keeping my doors open. I've got to put what that money, that dollar amount is.
Yeah, and you've done the work for them, which I love, because you've already given them, some very, common, I mean, you've thought of everything really when I looked at that list. So
it is, and it's designed. You see the blank spaces that they have something there in an industry that I'm not familiar with, and they have a fixed cost that I'm not familiar with. They can write it in here and put that in.
Awesome.
And they can also write notes down here. Now, one thing I do, I have cloud services. Nowadays, we have cloud services that we use all the time, like Right Signature and all of that. And that's hard to, you can say it's an internet service or whatever. I call it cloud services.
Right.
So you might want to go down here and put a note in it. What is that?
Or what services you're using. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. And then that way, that amount, and then you have an idea what you wrote, because all of this worksheet is designed that you can print it out and put it in your business plan.
It's awesome.
Is that not cool? Yeah, I love this. To me, when I create an idea and it works, it's like
exciting.
The A-Team, remember the A-Team when they said, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah. So true. And this is truthfully just an amazing tool for any business owner to have, and I will be using it in my own business, and I can't wait to be able to use it, because for me as a business coach, but I love that how it's by project name, because I might have one course, I have several different products, so I might have one course that sells for this and another course that sells for this, and so you allow me by this tool to say, okay, what project, if I'm going to unroll a project, I can count the cost before I start, which is so important.
And I agree. And one thing that I do that may not be gap associated,
sure,
but because I believe the cost of your credit card is only associated with the cost of the product, you've got to count it in, because if you don't, you're in trouble, as well as shipping and handling.
Right.
So it's
important, and I understand what you mean. For those who might not know, who might be watching and going, what's GAAP? We talked about that earlier. It's those generally accepted accounting principles. So agreed, if in some places it wouldn't be considered a cost of goods sold or a cost of service, but it's still important to have listed in here, because you want to make sure that you're getting a true profit, and those credit card fees can add up. So,
and doesn't it? And if you don't have that factored in business, a penny can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
I heard this story one time. Do you know how to become a millionaire? Overnight. You put a penny charge on everyone's telephone bill and be the one that received that one penny.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's all about that volume and numbers, and that people can get away with that because it's just a penny and we don't notice it. But if you're minding your pennies, then you'll get your dollars. So
that's why they call us bean counters, Becky.
That's right. That's right. They gotta count those beans. Absolutely. So this is where they would go in, and the variable cost. I know that we went over the fixed cost. So there's your overhead. No matter what you do, you have your fixed cost. Then you've got your variable cost, right? So those, you put what those would be in for the particular project, and then that gives you the numbers that you need. And so what does this portion enable us to do? Kind of tell us in this
variable. I said I wasn't going to tell, but since we're going over this, it's the cost of the item that you're selling.
Right.
And so I put a selling price up here, or your revenue of $429.
But what's really great is when your course, you're going to break down exactly how to come about to get to your variable cost, which isn't something we're going to get into. So.
Right. But this is how you can go back and look at what, if you have enough, what they call contribution margin.
Right.
And again, that's defined in the class.
Yeah,
but it's
a lot.
I like to say, yes, but anyhow, the credit card fee, I look at it, it's about 0.0375.
Mm-hmm.
And so the system calculated what I'm going to be paying. Now look, if I sell a course of $429, look at $16.09. Wouldn't that add up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's awesome.
If you're going to give a special and you say, I'm going to do it for half price, the price will go down, but are you going to make what you want? So this gives you a great tool to look at.
It's awesome. Then the
other thing is commission. Are you going to pay a percentage of the sale, or are you going to pay a percentage of the profit? And then the other thing is, commission. Are you going to pay a percentage of the sale, or are you going to pay a percentage of the profit? And then the other thing is, commission. Are you going to pay a percentage of the sale, or are you going to pay a percentage of the profit? And then the other thing is, or is there a flat rate? So let's look, we did at a percentage of the sale. Let's say you do 15%. Again, it did the calculation. This is what the person's going to be getting, you're going to be paying out. Here's your total variable cost, but it's shown right here. There's the contribution money. That's the money that you're going to have to work with to pay for your fixed cost. Now, let's look at how many units you want to sell. Now, we would have the answer on how many units on the back end. So let's say if I sell 100, let's say what, 25. Now it's going to tell me what my profit is. If I sell 25 units, this is the amount of gross revenue. This is what's going to be paid out, but I haven't hit break even yet. You see that?
Yeah.
So it's going, because, oh, I know why, because I didn't put down here the fixed cost. So let's put, so I'm going to put the 7,000 in here. That's what I forgot to do. So the 7,000 will come up here. Now the break-even point in units is 20. So now I've got my break-even point.
Yep.
So so I've made a profit of 15.98%, but I only need 20 units to sell in order to break even, which my break-even cost is 7,000.
Yeah, I love it. It's just it leads you on a journey to understanding your money, to knowing how to grow your money, and then how to, the end game, which we're going to get into the next one, but how to know where your money is going, how to understand the difference between cash flow. So I want to go ahead and jump into that third sheet. And that's just an amazing bonus that I got introduced to today. And I was just blown away, because just when I thought that this sheet couldn't get any better, seriously, I mean, major kudos to you for creating this program. And this worksheet is just going to change the lives of so many business owners who are going to be able to understand for the first time, maybe in a long time, if they're actually making money, and if they're not, how to fix it.
That's what this was designed. Let me share with you. I've been a professional bookkeeper for almost 20 years, almost 20. And I've worked with a lot of people that they said, well, I've got money in the bank account, I must be making a profit, but they don't understand that they're not. So I'm a kind of person, yes, I'm analytical, but I love to do these cash flows and the projections worksheets. And so I've made it simple and people that are afraid of numbers, they run away if they see something complicated. So I really wanted to make it as simple as possible. Yeah. And I tell people, I had in college, I have they discovered I have ADHD. So my attention span is kind of short. But then I'm crafty as well, so that's okay. But what happens, if I can learn something and can teach it to somebody, I'm intent on making certain you understand this.
Absolutely. I love it.
And that's why I have this done. So number one, this is designed so you don't have to even know Excel, but I'm going to show you some little tricks. So let's say you're planning a project and you want to start in, let's say October. Mm-hmm. If you'll notice when I put in October, the rest of the months populated. Is that cool or is that cool?
Yeah, it's awesome. It makes it so much easier for those of us who may not have the best Excel skills.
Yes.
Out there.
Now, oh shoot, I messed up here real quick. Okay, now the price. Again, you can put the price in here, $4.79. You can put in the quantity, how many you want to sell, because maybe you don't come out the month out of the gate running. But let's say what do we have? The price, the cost of goods sold. Let's say it's I forget what it was. We'll just put a number in here. Okay, I'll put the 79. Okay, now it did the math for you and calculated what your revenue is going to be. Do you see that right here?
Yep.
And your variable cost for the sale of this many products. Is that not cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. And so now, then how do you get your fixed price in there?
Oh, you put your fixed price right in here like this. You enter the number.
Okay.
I could have it come from the previous sheet, but you don't want everything linked. Now, let's say so what you're going to do, let's say the fixed price is going to be the same. This is just the one Excel sheet, one Excel trick I will share with my students on how to do, because very seldom the fixed price does not change.
Yeah.
But you can change it if you are a seasonal work. Maybe it goes down to 5,000 a month, or maybe it goes up to 10,000. You can go in there and change that, what you feel is going to be that fixed month, or that expense for that, the fixed expense for that month, but it's still work. Your
Right.
variable, though, you've got it all here. Again, we can, if you're going to sell the
You
same
have
thing,
a seasonal thing where maybe you do 25 in a month, but then the next you only do 5. So it gives you such a clear picture of what's going on each month. So jump into that beginning bank account and show that, because that is such a tool.
Okay, you have no money, that's fine. But let's say you get that a $5,000 loan or something, and you've got that money in the bank.
Right.
All of a sudden, you'll see how it changes. Beginning balance is 5,000. Now here, I put in here startup expense. Again, you can put the figure in there, or you don't have to. Let's say you've got a startup expense of $5,000, and this is designed just for your bank account. So let's put 2,500, so you can. There you go, 2,500 you spent. So your P&L for that month is going to show $5,500. But look, you better find some money, because your bank balance says you're going to be short $500.
Right, right. And what's cool about this is a lot of times business owners without an accounting background don't get to visualize the correlation between profit and loss and bank balance. As you said, they think they misunderstand cash flow with profit. And so they look and say, oh, I got money in the bank, I'm fine. And what they don't realize is that they're still might not be making a profit. And
right.
So profit and loss will show them what they're making or not. And then their bank balance is different. And two, that beginning bank account could be anything. So I'm an established business. I could choose to start on, the 1st of September, put in what my bank balance is, and then there we go.
See, it makes a difference. And if you decide to take a vacation in November and December and don't do any sales, look what's going to happen, how short you're going to be.
I love it. It's just such a good tool. Yes, I love it, Sandra. Thank you for letting me be the one to talk to you about this. And I can't wait to use it in my own business, and certainly to promote it among my, fellow, colleagues and bookkeepers and, business owners. I think it's going to be an amazing tool for people, especially, and even for those bookkeepers and accountants who they want to transcend, they don't want to just be a bookkeeper, but they don't know how to do this. This gives them a tool that as a bookkeeper and accountant, they can just go in, fill out this form for their client, and all of a sudden they can present these amazing, sheets and statistics to their clients. And now they've done it. They've moved from bookkeeper to strategic partner, all because they use your form. I love it.
That's what it's designed for. The number one thing, I think I'm only, unless you can convince me differently, I think I'm only going to make this master available. I'm going to release the master, only 30 copies of it. And I'm only going to let it go for $79. Now, you and I know my class is going to be a little bit more.
And so worth it, because it's delving deep into that. But yeah, I think, of course, I'm going to try to convince you otherwise, because I think that there's going to be a big demand for this. But for sure, starting out with releasing 30, and that way, then you can see where it goes from there. But yeah, if you're watching this video and you have not gotten a hold of this yet, and she happens to have any left, which would surprise me, make sure that you reach out. And how are they going to get a copy of this, Sandra? How would they?
Well, they can PM me, private message me on Facebook, right now. If they do, and I'm only going to make it available the next week. If I don't sell any, I'm fine with it. But I believe if I can do it for the next week or so, let's say the 1st of September of 2019.
Yep.
I'm not going to make any available. And it will not be immediate release. It will be available within the week following, because I'm also having it programmed so they select a button and it clears all the data that they entered for this project. Awesome. And then they can go and start all over again.
That's awesome. Well, I definitely think it's going to be a high demand for it. I would be surprised if it wasn't. Give it, once you get this out there, give it a few days. So if you're watching this, even if it's past the first, reach out to her and just see what her plans are. Find out what her goals are with this, and if you're able to get one. And I'm telling you, this is one of those things that when you see it, as a business coach, I work with a lot of bookkeepers and accountants, and I know that their desire is to transcend above just sending out financials. This is a tool that they can instantly implement in their business to give their clients this break-even analysis, of saying, hey, here's a real good explanation of where your money's going. Here's a real good explanation of how you can get more money, how many things you have to sell to make more. It's just such a great tool for bookkeepers and accountants. So if they don't jump on it, they're crazy.
I agree. There's a story. I taught this class, a real simple version of it.
Sure.
And one of the students needed a little bit of tutoring. And so I did with her, and to make certain she understood the concept.
Right.
And then she realized, she was a Tupperware dealer. And she realized that if she only did 2 more parties, she would have been able to reach her goal.
Oh, wow.
And
that's amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
It was, and it's so, so important. And I feel my role as a professional bookkeeper is to help my business owners understand the money, because they're walking with that checkbook. They're making decisions. And just because there's money in the bank doesn't mean, is it going to help them reach their goals?
Yeah. And in the long run, that's so important too, because in the long run, when the cash flow stops, because it will, if you're not making a profit, it will catch up with you. And when that bank balance is gone, you stand there and you're shocked, and everything that you worked hard for is gone. I've heard so many stories of people like that. I know someone personally who worked really hard at a construction company and, thought he was doing well because he had hundreds of thousands of dollars that would come in, but he didn't take into consideration his costs. And so when that money flowed, he was left with all of these project costs that he couldn't afford and had to go bankrupt. It's an amazing tool that this is going to really make a difference in the lives of our business owners. And if I just have to say it one more time, if you're a bookkeeper and accountant, this is a way for you to become that strategic partner with your clients. I grab this form. You'll regret it if you don't. So last thing before we go, tell me about your Facebook page. It's Ground Zero to Prosperity. They should go like it and give it a like. You got lots of likes on there, girl. You're popular.
Well, girl, I'm working on growing it. And then I also have one for this business. It's called Online Business Concierge. So I post in both areas. Ground Zero to Prosperity was designed to help people understand, start where you're at.
Love it.
Number one, identify what your passion is. I shared with you the Bible story of the widow woman and how she needed the money. She had her why because she wanted to save her children from going into slavery. And then Elijah asked her, what is it that you have? And the widow woman says, I just have oil. And I said, God, why? Because at first she said she had nothing. And I said, well, why did she say she had nothing? And he said, she'd been giving it away. So many of us have a gift and a talent that we give away. But the quick story, the end of the story is that she had sufficient to settle her debt with the creditor who was going to come and get her children and enslave them. But she also had sufficient to live on the rest of her life. And out of that, I realized that she had to know her numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And she didn't, because she didn't know she had it all along.
Yeah. And many of us do. Many of us do. And so I want to give people hope of identifying what they have and what they love to do that's easy for them, that they can make a profit and make money, because people want to know. I've told the story of Leonardo DiCaprio's movie Catch Me If You Can. The gentleman, that's based on a true story. And the gentleman that did that story is about, do you realize he was a criminal? Okay, he was a criminal. But the feds were so intrigued with him, they hired him. He is now a top speaker in the security world. How to catch him. he took that skill and turned it into a business.
Yep, absolutely. And if that can be said, so much of like what you said, we just give it away. It's something, if there's something you're good at and you just like to do it and you're constantly helping people, that's your thing. That's your passion. So I love it. All right, Sandra. Well, I'm again honored and thankful that you let me talk.
I'm honored and thankful that you're doing this interview with me. I appreciate, Becky, you've been so helpful to me. You've given me the courage, the confidence that I need to go out here and share this information with people. Girl, I'm telling you, you're younger than I am, but I love you, girl. I love you. I'm learning from you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right. Have a good one.
You too.